already happened in Libya is. Congress is suing the president. Why not just start impeaching him? Well, Walter Jones in North Carolina has started it. The Senate's concurred with the piece of legislation. Is it news that the beginning process of impeachment's begun? No, it's not even in the news. Let's hear from that Lieutenant Colonel Joe in Pennsylvania. What's your view on this, Lieutenant Colonel?
Alex, I looked at that testimony this morning, and Secretary of Defense Panetta just made me sick with how he was acting towards Senator Sessions. When I heard that, I just couldn't even think straight, because he openly defied him. In fact, Sessions should have ordered him right there. He says, that's illegal, and you come to Congress, and that's an order. And we want to see Congress get more involved in this. You know, sure, we'll do our part in the military, but Congress has to get involved. The Supreme Court has to get involved. And I know we're doing everything we can to talk to our troops and to see what's going to happen if an illegal order is given. I myself have already personally defied several illegal orders in my career, and nothing happened because it was just a private thing that I did. But getting other men to go along with you, you know, I do a lot of studying on the partisans back in World War II against the Germans, and most of them ended up getting shot in the head. So it's just not really a simple thing to just say we're going to defy our orders, although I personally would not carry out a illegal order.
Well, Colonel, if it was done early on, Hitler would have been defeated. It was by successive approximation, as you know, incrementally, then getting the military to swear an oath to him, not to the Republic, the Weimar Republic, similar to ours. The issue here is, it's one thing to say no to a Hitler or a Stalin, because as bad as they were over their country. They weren't under a foreign power. With Obama, they said NATO and the UN, as you said, Colonel, they defied. Here's the boss. Here's the senator. I mean, that's who's got the purse. That's who declares war. Here is the chairman of the committee saying, you do know under the Constitution and under the articles that you're under Congress. And they said, no, we're under NATO, we're under the UN. That's where we get our authority. And Sessions is like, what? And they kept saying it and saying it. As you know, he was defying him. And Congress has the authority to start arresting these people. I mean, they don't just have the authority to start impeachment. And I'm sorry, folks, people are like, arrest them. What are you supposed to do when they come in and say, I take my orders from a foreign group? I mean, Colonel, your take on that?
I'm involved in recruiting, and I ask every potential recruit whether they would disobey an unlawful order, and every one of them has said yes. But they say, what is an unlawful order? And each service has their own courses they give and their own definition of it, so it's very difficult. But the key to me, even during NDAA, we follow this closely. We watch the vote. We watch the way they put in all of the different amendments. And what did Congress do? Virtually nothing. We need Congress to back us up and not just have us be the only ones that are going to try to defy the president or disobey an order. If we could get Congress more fired up, then we'd be even more apt to go along. And
well, Joe, let me be completely clear. You've hit the nail on the head here. Okay, you're right. I'm asking the military to speak up because the Congress are a bunch of paid-off, blackmailed crooks. Now, this is so brazen that they're freaking out and talking about impeachment. So I'm saying we've got to really push them. And quite frankly, I'm looking for sacrificial lambs here. If it's myself, whatever the case is, politically, whatever, I don't want to be hurt, but this is the way it is. Obviously, the only way to supercharge this is for the military to simply, if I was a colonel, I would go to my commanding officer and say, well, here's Congressman Walter Jones reading the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11, that it is a high crime and misdemeanor for the president to launch military actions without congressional approval. And then they go through all that. And then I'd say it goes further, Colonel or General, whoever is above you. It goes further. As you know, they're saying the authority comes from the UN in these statements. What is your position on that? And because we've got to head this off at the pass. I mean, there's nothing wrong with reading the Constitution and saying, My commander-in-chief is not under the command of the UN. The president, you know, I mean, it's crazy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
One of the things that I did early on was I refused to salute the United Nations flag, and I also refused to salute Henry Kissinger when he was Secretary of State. But besides that, I've called my congressman in my own district where my home is, and I've asked for him to put in writing that he supports Congressman Dick Jones' resolution. I've already found out that there's a bipartisan effort to co-sign that. They're going to try to move that as quickly as possible, and I'm getting hundreds of copies of that. I'm going to be passing it out to every military member I get my hands on it.
Good, beautiful, and you're absolutely right that it's their job and the American people's job. It's just that in every case, like with the fall of East Germany or any of it, it ends up being the military that is going to make the decision if they go into hot tyranny on whether they succeed or not. And I mean in succeed in launching the Civil War, which the globalists have been making plans for, as you know. We don't want to be in a civil war with the military and police. I've seen enough in my life to not be macho and to want to have this fight. But you know the fight is going to come, and it's a mindless fight. We need to work with the military and police now to avert this. I mean, I knew, Colonel, when I went to urban warfare drills 14, 15 years ago, that's when the scales came off my eyes. And I witnessed mainly the Marines, in most cases, training to occupy U.S. cities and confiscate firearms of citizens. And I will tell the military, if they try widespread gun confiscation, it will result in absolute anarchy and huge casualties on both sides. And I know the military is having that discussion. I mean, do you have confidence that the military, even with some ridiculous scenario, you know, that they push, will say no to gun confiscation?
I can speak for myself that I would not authorize my men to go and to do it. But I just hope that they're not going to be some of these knuckle draggers, as you call them, that just enjoy that kind of thing and don't even think of the consequences of it or the constitutionality of it. You know, these idiots like Mark Levin, I used to listen to him until he started every day pounding on Ron Paul, and he's just a spokesperson for who knows what in this Hillsdale organization. They can bring things before Congress, but they're always bringing some stupid bill that means nothing. Let's get them behind all of this, and let's get to the Supreme Court. Why is it so hard to bring a bill to the Supreme Court and decide if something's unconstitutional or not?
I hear you. God bless you, Colonel. Stay in touch. Really good points. I know I talked to a lot of military, including Brass, who's upset and concerned, and I know a bunch of the last Joint Chiefs of Staff and the chairman, the last 2 rounds, they kept saying no to all this.